Welcome back. This is DJ Gary, and we back with some unfortunate news. Wayne Lewis of legendary Atlantic Starr passes away at 68. So let's get into this article made by Soul Tracks and see what they are reporting on. And I'm going to get through this. I want you guys to bear with me. Okay, here we go. Let's okay. June 6, 2025, the posting of legendary R&B band Atlantic Starr this morning hit us like a ton of bricks. It's with great sadness that we have to post the passing of Wayne Lewis, June 5th, 2025. It's difficult to comprehend the passing of this handsome, talented, ever youthful performer who helped lead an all-time favorite act of nearly a half a century. He was 68. Atlantic Starr was quietly one of the most consistently successful and underrated soul bands of the 80s and early 90s. With uh, a bank full of memorable songs that still sound good today. Like many groups formed in the mid-70s, Atlantic Starr was influenced by the self-contained funk bands like Earth, Wind, Fire, Kool and the Gang, and the massive Intel lineup, consisting of lead singer Sharon Bryant, musicians Cliff Archer, Porter Carroll, Joseph Phillips, Damon Rentile, William Sturdeth, and brothers Wayne, David, and Jonathan Lewis, reflected the times. The group, previously named New Band, was signed with A&M Records under the condition that they change their name, and in 1978 released their debut under the name Atlantic Starr. Working with noted Philly guitarist Bobby Eli, they landed an R&B hit with Stand Up and had some success on the pop and soul album charts. But when their second album stalled on A&M teamed them with Commodore's producer James Anthony Carmichael on loan from Motown for Radiant, a smash album that landed in the soul top 10 on the strength of hits When Love Calls and the stunning ballad Send For Me. Radiant marked a change in the group's style to a smoother brand of funk soul, also showed development of Wayne and David Lewis as songwriters. This began a string of hit albums and singles such as Touch a Four-Leaf Clover, Circles, that quietly moved the group to the top of the soul music world through its surprisingly little crossover success. With David and Wayne Lewis attracting attention and royalties as the principal group songwriters, and Bryant out in front as a clear lead singer, fissures began to form in the group, coming to a head in 1984 when 5 members quit, leaving only the Lewis brothers and Phillips. The 4 remaining members brought in a new lead singer, Barbara Weathers, a gorgeous and talented young singer who had been groomed for a solo career by the Lewis brothers. The group prior lack of success on the pop charts at the time when many top soul acts were successfully crossing over also led to stylistic changes for the band, beginning with the 1985's As the Band Turns. Even as A&M success records was dropping the band's ballad "Secret Lovers," the group's least urban sounding single to date rocketed up the pop and soul charts, becoming the biggest Atlantic Starr hit ever. The crossover success of "Secret Lovers" created the template for future Atlantic Starr releases, which took on noticeably more pop-oriented approach. The group signed it with Warner Brothers in 1987, landed their first pop number one with "Always," an adult contemporary wedding ballad appeared to completely served, severed from the group's soul funk origins. Complications and more group tensions occurred as Weathers and Wayne Lewis became engaged in arguments about royalties surfaced, ultimately resulting in Weathers quitting in 1988. This began a revolving door of female leads over the next decade in a muddying of the group's sound. By 1990, Atlantic Starr has evolved into a pop ballad group with smooth-voiced David Lewis generally handling lead vocals. In 1992, as they scored its last major hit with the gentle Kenny Nolan ballad "Masterpiece," that the song charted higher on the adult contemporary charts than on urban charts was telling. Accompanying the album "Love Crazy" was commercial disappointment. Atlantic Starr left Warner Brothers for Arista in 1994 and released "The Time," placing a minor pop hit with "I Remember You," another melodic ballad. It was the last major label release. David Lewis left the group in 1997 to pursue Christian ministry. Brothers Wayne and Jonathan Lewis kept the group alive through the remainder of the 90s and into the thousands, with the rotating lineup of other musicians became staples of oldies circuit in 2016. After a long absence from the studio, Atlantic Starr consisted of Wayne, Jonathan Lewis, L. John Epps, and Melissa Pierce, released the album Metamorphosis, which included the minor hit ballad "My Best Friend." While Atlantic Starr sound changed and softened over the years, the group is fondly remembered for a solid string of accessible, memorable hits that have generally held up well and that have solidified Atlantic Starr's legacy as one of the most enjoyable soul music acts of the 80s. The passing of Wayne Lewis is another blow to the fans of classic soul and funk music, a reminder of just how much joy he and his bandmates brought back in the day. This this article is written by Chris Rizek, and this is on Soul Tracks. This is the website Soul Tracks. Shout out to Soul Tracks. Okay, so let's see what Atlantic Starr's page is talking about on Instagram. Okay, bear with me. It's with sadness we have to post myself, Wayne Lewis, on June 5th, 2025. Please keep the family in your prayers. Respect their privacy. Wayne Lewis, Sunrise 4/13/1957 to 6. Wow. Yeah. This is really pretty sad for R&B fans. And, I went to his I went to Wayne Lewis Instagram. I guess this is his personal one. It was locked. Nothing was coming out of that. I'm gonna show you guys. So this is his personal uh, Instagram. As you can see, it's private. Um, I'm not sure if it was private before or it had just went private. If anybody was following him, you guys could let me know. And then, yeah. So, it's sad. It's always sad to. It's always sad that a legend passed away. Atlantic Starr to me was like one of those um, bands that were very talented, and you know they got they ended up getting their just due. It took a while. Atlantic Starr to me falls in um, that cameo uh, when Kool and the Gang kind of like got off very like their real, the blackest of the blackest records they could make. Atlantic Starr falls like right there with, like I said, with Cameo. Although Cameo comes in, I believe, like 75, 74 ish. Uh, Atlantic Starr is there with Heat Wave, uh, Switch, that kind of thing. When the Commodores kind of like began getting success, Atlantic Starr was like coming up. And, I remember they showed a rerun of Soul Train, and Atlantic Starr was on Soul Train, and Patrice Rushen was on there too. I think this episode was like 1980. I think she did Haven't You Heard? And I think Atlantic Starr did one of their songs, and then um, I'm not sure if it was Circles. It could have been Circles they was performing, or When Love Calls. I think When Love Calls, and they had horn players then. Um, Atlantic Starr, how I became introduced to Atlantic Starr, was pretty much, through my parents, through my mother. My mother was a fan of Atlantic Starr, and I was introduced to them. I remember hearing Always, All in the Name of Love. Like that was just a constant thing, always playing. Um, Rest in peace to Wayne Lewis. I hope his family find closure. 68 is still pretty young. I don't know the details. I don't know what, you know, of course that's private, and, rightfully so. Um, one of my favorite songs of Atlantic Starr is definitely When Love Calls. That always was a favorite of mine. Um, Send for Me, that's definitely another favorite. Circles. I think for me, Atlantic Starr really was great with Sharon Bryant. I think Sharon Bryant really. I have to say they never had a um like for a replacement for Sharon Bryant. I think they did pretty good. I really believe they did pretty good. Uh, to me, Sharon Bryant was probably like, got them to a certain point. Um, for me, I think Radiant, that album is very special. They got one there, Am I Dreaming? I love Am I Dreaming. That's like one of my favorites as well. Um, yeah, Am I Dreaming? Doesn't Matter. Those were like really one of my favorite songs. Uh, I think Wayne was an excellent vocalist. Uh, definitely, I think he doesn't get a lot of props as a vocalist, but I think he did his thing. Secret Lovers is definitely a favorite. I want you guys to let me know what is your favorite Atlantic Star songs or album. Um, for me, it's I got introduced. I'm gonna show you. I got introduced to them from this compilation. So this is my introduction to them. So my introduction to Atlantic Star would probably been when I was like maybe four, at most four, maybe 4 years old, and yeah, they did work with Maurice White on that album, All in the Name of Love. They work with Maurice White. Um, my mom has that as well. It's very interesting. There's an interesting dynamic I will say about the bands around a certain time where they begin to get rid of uh, horn players and stuff like that, and they get reduced to like five or four members. Remember Cameo started doing that, and then eventually the Commodores did that. Who else did that? Uh, it was a few bands that just basically cut horn sections and members out, and it was just 3 to 4 or 5 members. You know, yeah. So like I said, rest in peace to um, Wayne Lewis. Hopefully, let me see. My screen went black. I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully he will, rest in peace. And I want you guys to let me know what is your favorite song. Let me know what you guys, do you guys have any, do you guys have any memories of Atlantic Starr? How was there? Was they influential music wise in your homes, relationships, um, stuff like that? Just put it under the comment section, and we're going to leave it like that. Uh, Man, this has been a big year in music for loss of talented musicians. Um, you know, did you guys ever go to Atlantic Starr concert back in the day? What was your experience? Did you get proposed? Just if you can list some good stories, memories, what songs you liked vocally, let me know. All right. Don't forget to like, share this video, and comment. And yeah, we're out.